Okay, let's deal with the thing where supposedly Christ, Yeshua, Jesus, had declared everything clean. Because this is part of the whole idea of people will say, oh, well, see, he declared everything clean in Mark 7. This is also paralleled in Matthew 15, where he's arguing with the Pharisees and about, because the Pharisees are saying, why do your disciples not wash their hands? Because it was a custom. It was a tradition of the Pharisees, which it talks about in verse 3. It says, for the Pharisees and all the Jews do not eat unless they carefully wash their hands, thus observing the traditions of the elders. And it has to do with cleansing yourself, that, not defiling. And then Yeshua responds to him. He says, this rightly did Isaiah say, prophesy of you hypocrites, as it is written. This comes from Isaiah 29:13. It says, this people honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain do they worship me, teaching as doctrines the precepts of men. Which, that's another video, just in that. But he says in verse 9, he was also saying to them, you are experts in setting aside the commandment of God in order to keep your tradition. Because he's talking about how the commandment that says honor your father and mother, and that they would say, oh, well, you can whatever would help your parents can be declared korban, which means given to God, which comes out in verse 11 of Matthew 7. And it says in verse 12, you no longer permit him to do anything for his father or his mother, thus invalidating the word of God by your tradition, which you have handed down, and you do many things such as that. After he called the crowd, this is verse 14, to himself, he began saying to them, listen to me, all of you, and understand. There's nothing outside the man that can defile him if it goes into him, but the things which proceed out of the man are what defile him. If anyone hears, let him hear. And then Peter asked him what this parable means, which should give us a clue of to where the Jewish understanding was at the time, why they were blinded for a time, is because they didn't understand it. Peter would have been a Jew. He was a fisherman. So it says, and Christ says, are you still lacking in understanding? Do you not understand that what goes into the body, what goes into the man from outside cannot defile him, because it does not go into his heart, but into his stomach and is eliminated. Thus he declared all foods clean. I don't know how many translations have that, but this particular translation does. But that's someone's opinion, that he declared all things clean, but it has nothing to do with food. It has to do with the spiritual principle of that they are. It has to do with their tradition, not with. It has nothing to do with food. This all has to do with arguing with the Pharisees. it says in verse 20, and he was saying that anyone that which proceeds out of the man, that is what defiles the man. For from within, out of the heart of men, proceed the evil thoughts, fornications, thefts, murders, adulteries, deeds of coveting, and the list goes on. So it has nothing to do with, it wasn't about food, it was simply about their tradition, arguing with them about their tradition, invalidating the Word of God, and about it just wasn't about food. So that hopefully that clears that up. And this is also in Matthew 15. So just to show you that there are argument that, oh, well, he declared everything clean. No, he didn't. This all goes back to people wanting to say that the Gentiles replaced Israel, which is not the case. This all goes back to replacement theology.